The aggregate metrics used to measure the U.S. housing market are currently masking a severe structural break. The market is splitting into two distinct realities. We are looking at a K-shaped divergence. On the upward trajectory, affluent buyers are transacting with ease, while on the downward slope, entry-level volume is collapsing. Look at the top tier. Over the past year, sales of luxury homes priced above $1 million expanded by 9.3%. At the exact same time, sales for entry-level properties priced below $250,000 contracted by 1.3%. This creates an analytical contradiction. Historically, elevated interest rates suppress real estate activity across the board, yet the luxury tier is growing. Market direction is no longer dictated uniformly by Federal Reserve policy. Instead, specific buyer cohorts are heavily insulated by localized demographic wealth. To see exactly who makes up these insulated cohorts, we can look at the latest demographic market shares from the National Association of Realtors. This chart shows the current composition of buyers. The floor has dropped for first-time homebuyers, who now make up just 21% of the market. That 21% is the lowest recorded entry-level market share since tracking began in 1981. Compare that to the dominant cohort on the right. Baby boomers now command 42% of all home purchases, and they control the supply side as well, accounting for 53 to 55% of all home sellers. This 42% buyer block exhibits almost zero interest rate sensitivity. Interest rate sensitivity is a measure of how much a buyer's willingness to purchase changes when borrowing costs go up. While younger generations are priced out by high mortgage rates, older buyers are largely unaffected. The housing market has formally split into two profiles: equity-rich older demographics who transact at will, and yield-starved younger buyers structurally locked out of net worth formation. The mechanics behind this dominance come down to the exact financial profile of the older move-up demographic. Existing homeowners who purchased their properties prior to the pandemic are now converting those older assets into six-figure equity gains. They are operating behind an equity shield. By combining stock market gains with accumulated housing wealth, they bypass the elevated mortgage market entirely. This visual breaks down a typical older homeowner's balance sheet. 60% hold fully paid-off mortgages. Their liability is zero. This provides the exact liquidity to fund massive down payments or to execute all cash transactions for premium properties. When you carry zero debt, broad inflation and high borrowing costs lose their impact on your day-to-day housing stability. The Federal Reserve's rate hikes aim to cool the market, but this wall of boomer equity created a significant buffer that shielded the largest purchasing demographic from the intended impact. On the other side of the divide is the entry-level millennial buyer attempting to break in without existing equity. This charts the modern monthly financial outlay for a new buyer. Above the base principal, a compounding systemic trap layers on. Elevated borrowing costs inflate the interest, escalating insurance premiums stack up, and rising local property taxes push the total outlay beyond qualifying debt-to-income ratios. Facing scarce inventory and limited purchasing power, many younger buyers are forced to abandon standard single-family living configurations entirely. The immediate structural adaptation is capital pooling. This year, 14% of buyers specifically purchased homes to accommodate multi-generational living. Asset pricing is only part of the hurdle. Millennials face financial exhaustion from the volatility of ongoing, unshielded carrying costs. This financial polarization explains the demand side, but we also have to map the physical reality of the housing stock. Where is the missing entry-level inventory trapped? This pie chart looks at all 3+ bedroom homes in the nation. Currently, empty nest boomers hold a 28% slice of this high-capacity housing. Compare that 28% directly to the mere 16% owned by millennials who actually have children living at home. In previous decades, market mobility was driven by strict necessity. Homeowners moved because of a job relocation or an expanding family. Today, older demographics have deep community ties. Their decision to relocate is a discretionary lifestyle choice. Because they face no financial pressure to sell, older homeowners can simply wait out on favorable market conditions. Brokers report a sharp rise in demand for properties with main-level bedrooms. Explicitly so, younger buyers can move aging parents in. Every year this inventory remains stagnant creates a massive delay in net worth formation for the younger demographics waiting on the sidelines. The national entry-level shortage is mathematically and physically locked behind boomer holding patterns. Today, a singular catalyst drives crucial movement in this frozen market ecosystem: discretionary boomer downsizing to enjoy a work-free lifestyle. When seniors decide to retire or move closer to family, their equity-backed decisions create vital ripple effects across regional networks. This diagram shows the causal loop of local liquidity. In step 1, a well-prepared senior decides to downsize, preserving their capital. This triggers step 2, high-capacity inventory is released. Moving to step 3, this satisfies move-up buyers, ultimately opening the door for entry-level buyers. First-time buyer opportunities are now inextricably dependent on the intentional, well-prepared moves of the senior demographic. For macro analysts, tracking generic national supply and demand curves is no longer an effective way to forecast real estate. Modern analytical models must pivot to tracking localized, demographic-specific inventory releases. The primary driver of today's market is the widening generational wealth gap. Investors must look beyond Federal Reserve interest rate fluctuations to identify the true systemic risks in this market. The true barriers are escalating carrying costs, insurance, and taxes that permanently raise the floor for market entry. Yet, despite this severe polarization, the outcomes of every generational cohort remain directly connected. The K-shaped housing market is a story of who holds the equity shield to survive structural costs and who is left waiting on the outside.